God bless you, YouTube. Don't do this very often, but I want to share my thoughts about the passing of Dr. Iona Locke. Well, that's too much light right there. Dr. Locke was, I see she's getting acclaim and esteem at her passing, sometimes that eluded, eluded her while she was alive. It's amazing sometimes that many voices are esteemed once they're off the scene, once they're off the grid, once they're no longer here to expound. Even from what the reaction I see from social media, where I see YouTube and Facebook, and everybody's now giving her a claim that pretty much eluded her. I had to expound. She was revolutionary. She came out with a spoken word project. I think the first one was I was ordering and selling tapes back in the day. I think I ordered one. It was called Let's Get It On, and that was very popular. Then she came back with a second project, What Kind of Fool Are You? This was during a day and time where preachers had pretty much gotten away from that, but it was something that was used by the older preachers. They used to use preach albums and some of the people in the Detroit area. And I think Aretha Franklin's dad got a lot of acclaim for doing that. So she was kind of bringing some things back. And then somewhere around the 90s, when the conferencing was thrust upon the body of Christ, there were pretty high conferences that came on. You had Carlton Pearson's Azusa conferences. You had Paul Morton and the Full Gospel Baptist Fellowships conferences starting to take note. Bishop Jakes at that time wasn't into the megafest mode, but he was more into his Back to the Bible conferences. And even one that I got to be associated with, Bishop Patterson had his Soul Winners conferences. So she came up in the era where the conference movement was taking off. While she was a notable name, while she got her way into many of these conferences, I think that there were some things that kept her from transcending into a household name. Part of that is she preached a pretty hard text. She came from the day where the purpose of an evangelist was to save souls. That kind of has morphed into present day where we got evangelists that raise money. So I think that she never reached her peak, and maybe even she was shunned, blacklisted, blackballed, or the bad finger was pointed at her because she would go to these conferences at a time where conferences suck so much money. They suck money like, I don't know. I think we had tremendous money that was raised during the era of the Soul Winners conferences at their peak, which would have been the late 90s, right around the year 2000, somewhere in there. But what we discovered was that all the money that was raised actually left out of the door with all the preachers, the singers, the accommodations. They took all the money. There's nothing left. So I think her legacy was a tad bit undercover because she did not morph and do, she wasn't your fundraising preacher. She wasn't your in 3 days you'll receive. She wasn't by this time tomorrow. So I think it's an incredible legacy, and it's so sad that so many of our voices have to be completely off the scene before they earn their just due. Well, I think that there are lessons to be learned. I think the church should always be in learning mode, lesson mode. And I mourn the passing of Dr. Iona Locke. This isn't a Kojic versus PAW thing. This isn't a Baptist versus PAW thing. This isn't a oneness versus Trinitarian thing. This isn't a woman preacher versus man preacher thing. First of all, I've seen people in every Reformation celebrate her at her death. I've seen Baptist preachers. I've seen Kojic preachers. I've seen so many things. So many people of all persuasions celebrate her at this moment while they didn't celebrate her alive. What we got to do is find a way to not wait to esteem our great leaders and our great voices after they're gone. We need to find a way to esteem them while they're here. Now, I don't know anything about while she was at Perfecting Church, but I do know that she was a tremendous voice of preaching about sin. She did preach that the wages of sin is death. It's in the book. So few preachers like to preach it, particularly on the circuit, because it's not popular to conference goers. You got to get them hyped. You got to get them lit. You got to get them excited so they'll give their funds. But I do want to think, and I do, and I will state that I was affected by the message of Dr. Iona Locke. A great voice has been stilled. I pray God's riches upon her family, upon her church, and I think it's a learning lesson for the people of God to not wait to esteem those great voices that pass our way. Let's not wait until they're gone for them to receive their just due. Just want to share for a second. Sorry about the lighting. Don't do this much, but I had to say something. Be blessed. And I will find out how to do this. There we go.